welcome to my channel. It's your boy C Moto. I decided that I wanted to create a channel that will be dedicated to whether it be this bike here that I'm gonna present to you or future bikes, be talking about my past bike as to why, not why I went from a leader bike to a 600, but pretty much what happened coming to the point of purchasing this bike. It is a 2025 Kawasaki Ninja zx6r in the black and gray and blue. I'm not sure what the exact color scheme is, but I didn't really care for the green. It was just kind of too wild colored for me. Too much attention drawn to me, and just being that they went out of their normal color scheme. I do like that, as they're going from the 25s and 26s, they're making these wild different colors, so I do like that part. But I first want to bring you guys, want to introduce myself. Say I created my channel. You guys can like and subscribe, as it costs you nothing to subscribe and come along with this journey of me building on my zx6r. And I'll tell you a little bit about from the time I bought it, how much I got it for. I did crack 1,000 miles on it, so it's also going to be a review as well. And at the end, I'll show you some goodies that I already purchased for it while I was going through my break-in period. So with that said, again, help me build my channel. You can subscribe to me, help me out there. I would appreciate it. And I'll be bringing you guys as best of videos that I possibly can when it comes to building on this thing here. But it's very interesting, this bike here, especially going from a leader bike to a 600. And I'm very shocked and surprised, and that's one reason why I want to do this review. So with that said, bear with me while I get set up and get changed over, and I will be right back to you. All right, so I'm back. Just had to get the bike set up. Pretty much everything. Oh, don't mind it. It is a little dirty from, I haven't did a wash to it yet in 1,000 miles that I have rode it. So it does need a wash, so you got to excuse me for it being slightly dirty or dusty for that matter. Got my baby G35 in the background there that I am working on as well. I'd say I'm pretty mechanically inclined when it comes to things. I got this one, and then I have a right-hand drive Honda Del Sol that I am converting, that's currently in my garage right now. It is fully converted already to right-hand drive. I just got to start putting it back together. So just when I have time for that. But just to kind of explain to you why I got this thing. Let me get closer. So pretty much what happened is I had a 2014 Yamaha R1, as you see in the thumbnail and as you see in the picture right here. 2014, I think I had cracked about 35,000 miles, somewhere around there on it. So I wanted to keep it, but at the same time, I also was kind of hesitant because I did see the pricing for a new motor, and it was around the 10 grand figure. So with that said, I wanted to look at my options and see what I came up across in terms of a replacement. I did want to get a 2025, but I was waiting on to find out to see what Yamaha was going to do with the 2026. But there has not been an update, as they are testing to make a V4 in it. I don't know if they would release something like that this year coming around, but there has been no updates on the 2026 model. So I was like, well, I sold my bike back in June of this year, 2025. And I said, well, let me go look around and see. I was going to get another leader bike, but I said, you know what, let me just look around and see what. And I came across this beauty here. And lo and behold, to get it for the price I got it for, which was about $10,500, I was like, no problem. I was like, I'll sit on this. Going back from a 1,000 to 600, the person would ask why, but I totally understand now why people talk about and what the thing is about 1,000 cc bikes versus 600 cc bikes. And I get it. Now, mind you, I started off with the 600 cc bike. Obviously it was a R6, so at that time the R3 and those, they didn't even, because this was back in 2009, so there was no R3 or the 3 or the 400 Ninjas, so it was just like 600s, or there were some other bikes that you probably could get a lower CC, but I started out at 600. So mind you, as long as you have the smarts and the control, then you very well can start on a 600cc bike. I don't personally recommend it, but you can do it. It's just you got to make sure you have the smarts and the control to control these bikes, because they are fast. You got a lot of power under your butt, generally speaking, per se. But I've been, let me see, I've only had Yamahas. I had 3 R6s, and then I had 3 R1s, and my last one that I had was a 2014, like I said, as you've seen in the video, in the picture before and at the thumbnail. But when I came across this bike, I did get it at Burt's Mega Mall in Azusa, California, Southern California. And I got this bike, like I said, a little over 10,000. It was, I think it was like 10.5 what it was on sale for, and this is the non-ABS model. I don't really care for too much of the tech and all those features. I just like a raw bike in the sense. Now, granted, you can't get a brand new bike without some kind of technology, but I don't really like the rider aids. I just like to feel what the brakes are when I get on the brakes. I don't like the ABS feel as I've rode those, so I like to generally feel what it is when I'm pressing on the brake and not what it's going to do to me depending on how hard I press the brakes. I just don't like the feeling of ABS, even in cars. I mean, it's better in cars in the sense, but on a bike, and generally speaking, I'm not even saying like that. I'm not really taking this bike on the track. I will do some probably canyon runs, obviously, on it, but not so much tracking it or whatever it is. You never know. I might change my mind, but it's never been a thing that I've been into track-wise. So I'll fix them up and clean them up, make them look nice, and just get out there and ride it. I daily them to work, stuff like that. So that pretty much explains but why I went from the 1,000 to the 600. But just to kind of go over the bike, and let me get a chair so I can kind of sit, because I was just kind of squatting down. But yeah, so that was the reasoning why I went, just because they didn't have a 2026 model out, and I wasn't going to get the 2025 R1. So normally they kind of introduced the 2026s officially like right around October and November, but being that last year in 2024 they were saying that 2025 was possibly going to be the last one, obviously in Europe, they weren't going to have them, so they were going to lose them there, but they continued to make a 2025 here. I think they just updated the winglets, or upgraded them to add them to that 2025 bike. I think it was a couple other things, but they were just more physical things that they added to the bike, so not much difference. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just wait and see what they have for 2026, and just being that they're out there testing the V4, I was like, that's probably what that is to determine whether they're going to release that. So it probably won't be this coming year. We'll probably skip a year or two. So I said, hey, let me jump on this zx6r, especially for 10.5 versus the 20 that it would have been trying to get either a CBR 1000 or a ZX10R. So I heard a lot about the zx6r. Now, mind you, they had just had the recall on this one, and they had them all in the dealership. So when the word came down, they actually pulled those bikes from the floor and they went and did their test, the test on them. So mine, they did all the tests on them. They came out clean. It wasn't a whole lot that was affected, so people kind of went crazy once they heard that it was a recall on it. People were selling their bikes and this and that. I didn't really hear of an accident. Obviously, probably something have had to happen to then be reported and then turn into a recall. So I'm not quite sure. I didn't look that deep into it, but either way, they did test it and check it and make sure that it was good, and it was official that it was good. There was no worries with this one, so I was set to go. And I went ahead and we made the purchase, and that's been it. But I have cracked 1,000 miles on it. I think the recommended was like 500 or 600 miles, and they asked you to stay no more than like, I think it was like 6,500 or 7,000 RPM or whatever, which is extremely tough. So as I was getting closer to the 600 mark, I started to go a little bit over. I'm like, at this point, it should be fine. So, and there was no issues. There's no leaking. There was anything like that. Obviously, I did my break-in oil change. I originally was going to take it to the dealership to get the break-in service, they wanted like $390 or something like that, and I'm just like, really? Like, I get it, they kind of go through the bike and make sure everything's tight and this and that, but it's like, you just did that. You just ran through this bike with all the check marks. When I bought the bike, it had all the check marks from everything that they torqued and everything they tightened and everything they went through. So granted, of course, they have a point where you're doing the braking period, to where at that point they want to make sure that you that all your bolts and everything are tightened and snug after riding it that 500 or 600 miles. So I do get it. I just didn't feel the $400 at that time, and that of course is including the oil change. So in my mind, I'm like, I know what I'm doing when it comes to oil change. And in this bike, compared to Yamaha's bikes, super easy for the oil changes on this bikes. I love it. I don't have to remove any fairings or anything like that. I do have to make like a little funnel to drip down, a little drip funnel, just the way that they have the oil filter position. But on the Yamaha, when it's in between the headers, and then I got to pull the fairings, like, it was a whole mess. So when I found this out, that I didn't have to, and the oil plug was down below, which I will be showing you, and then where the oil filter is, oh man, like, I'm already in love with this bike just because of the oil change part. But like I said, this is this beauty here. I did buy some parts for it that I will be showing you guys some point through this video, so try to stay tuned if you can. And like I said, it would help me a lot if you guys did subscribe to the video, as I will be doing a bunch of upgrades to the bike itself and building it. But like I said, let's just do a walk around and then kind of show you exactly what's going on with this one here. But this is pretty much it. Now, when I was talking about the oil change at that point, that's when the drain plug is right there. I don't know if you can see it, but the drain plug is right there, so there's no need to pull the fairings. There's no need to pull the fairings off. And then the oil filter is right here. When it came to the oil and the oil filter, obviously you use whatever oil it is that you like. I use the Mobil 1, racing oil for motorcycles. And then the Mobil 1 filter that I use is the M110A from Mobil 1 itself. I know there's a thing questioning about what type of filters, the Mobil 1 filters that you can use. And this is the same exact one that I used. It obviously has the same pitch as the one for my R1 and my R6s. So it is the longer filter type. It's not the shorty one. I think the shorty one is like a M108. Don't quote me on that, but I will put the part number for this oil filter in the description down below if you guys want to check into that, just to know. For there's a lot of people asking what the part number is for the Mobil 1, and I just kind of took a stab at it. I checked the thread pitch on the Yamaha, and then I checked the thread pitch on the internet for the Kawasaki here, and they were exactly the same. So I just took a chance at it and I went on and got it. I haven't had no issues. There's no leaks or anything like that when it comes to this after doing that oil change. But yeah, this is it. At 1,000-mile point. I'm sorry for the glare if there's any that does come across. Like I said, this colorway suited me better. As you can see here, and we have some parts over there that you can see. I'm gonna get rid of this big, ugly monstrosity that you see right here, which it is what it is. But I think the bike is built extremely well, especially after riding it. The 1,000 miles that I have ridden it. Let's see where I'm at. Yeah, exactly 1,000. Yeah, 1,099 miles. So I do have my my quick shifter setting there, and I do have it on road mode. I didn't put it to sport. I don't know, something about the road mode that I like better. But it's a nice display setup here, and obviously you have all your controls here. This is for your menu on the screen itself. Then you have your high beams, your low beams, of course your horn, your turn signals, your hazard lights, which I love that. I didn't have that on my 14 R1 for whatever reason. Then obviously you have your kill switch, and then you have your starter button here. And these are adjustable forks. For that part, it does come with a regular key. And then the clutch and brake handles, they are adjustable, so you can adjust them. They have a setting from, I think it's 1 to 5, so that's nice. At least at a stock point you can adjust them compared to the older bikes here. But overall, I think the position riding this bike is definitely sporty. It does have you lean over a bit depending on. I'm 6'3", so I have no problems. I'm riding this bike. My arms are on the longer side, so I have no issue. I don't bend over too much. But yeah, that is pretty much that. Again, this monstrosity right here, this puppy is definitely going to be coming off. But these tires on here are a 180. I don't know if you can see that. 180 55/17 for the front, and they are a 120 77/17 in the front. And sorry, that was in the rear. A 180 55/17 in the rear. So nice, pretty nice setup here. This thing is definitely, I don't know if the exhaust is worse than this, but this thing, it's not bad. It's not a big old deal. This license plate, Fender holder, whatever you want to call it. It's not crazy, but considering that they have tail tidies out here that are just smaller and more tasteful, this is normally the first thing that people do if it's not the exhaust. But yeah, that's pretty much it. See, I just wanted to introduce myself again. The name's C-Moto. This is my first video, but I did want to introduce myself and the bike to you guys, and the reasons why I did get it. But if I have to say anything else when it comes to these 600s, which is one thing that I did want to talk about, is the power. So again, I don't consider this a starter bike. For some people it may be. I would have gladly easily been able to start on this bike just because I'd go into it with control. You have to have the smarts when you buy a motorcycle. It doesn't matter what cc it is. Obviously the more cc's, the more the power. You do have to have control of the motorcycle. With that said, the one thing that I will recommend that you guys do, take the MSF course. Take the MSF training course. Like, at the end of the day, it may not cover 100% of things that you may encounter out in the real world, but what you do learn is you learn all the basics. I'm talking the basics of the counter steering. You learn everything, and that's a big thing with counter steering. And what ends up happening with the MSF course is that you get a waiver where you don't have to end up doing the actual physical riding test at the DMV, which, if you don't want to take this course, and you can just go and try at the DMV for whatever the cost it is, at $30-something, $36 for 3 tries, and then you can try to pass it that way, of course, after getting your permit. But me, I was, and this was a long time ago, I took that course, and the waiver was still back at that time where you didn't have to take the DMV actual riding course. They gave you the waiver at the school once you passed your test. And it was, I think it was 2 days of training school. It was about $350. I don't know if it's changed to now. $300 is probably between $300 and $400 now. But they will show you all the basic fundamentals of riding the bike. They normally get you like on a 125 to 200 cc, like a Grom type bike or whatever it is, just so you can understand, or maybe a little tiny roadster type bike. That I was obviously 5 to 6 speeds, just so they can make sure that you know how to shift. So it ain't gonna be a scooter or a Vespa or anything like that out there. But I suggest that you guys do take it. It's well worth the money. And like I said, to not have to deal with the DMV test, that test can be hard. I know at the time when I tried to do it, it was just too much. And at that time I had a 1000 cc, so it's hard to maneuver through that little course that they have you take at the DMV themselves. So just a suggestion that I say. But to get back to the power of these bikes, I used to think, oh, you go to 1000 cc. I don't want to go back down to a 600, since I had 600 and my last 3 bikes have been 1000 cc's. Considering the fact that it was a 2014 Yamaha R1, and it was powerful. It very well was powerful. I got to give it up to this little sucker right here. This zx6r here has got some balls. I was shocked. I truly was shocked. I don't know if it's a difference in the time since 2014 till now, the technology, the way they make these motors. I'm not sure, but this thing has some up and go. It really does. Now, granted, I hear that the and I do feel it or whatever it is come the top end. You don't have a real whole really a lot of go on the top end, but that's where tuning comes into place. And with that, I may be a minute before I get the bike tuned. At the end of the day, my concern with the tuning part is that's when it becomes a point where you can void the warranty. What I don't want to do is void the warranty on my brand new zx6r. Like, I just don't want to do it over a tune. Now, granted, I did get a slip-on exhaust, which obviously I don't have to get a tune for. I didn't get a full system, which I will get later. But right now, especially the fact with this recall they had going on, if something did decide that it wanted to happen, and especially it was regarding that recall, what I don't want to do is I do not want to have the bike tuned and mess around and mess up my warranty. And I did get an extended warranty, so I'm gonna have to figure out the whole tuning thing and how I'm gonna deal with that. I probably will be fine, just like everybody else, but when you're paying extra for extended warranties and this and that, and then it gets voided over a tune, and the guy did tell me, just don't crack open your ECU or whatever it is. So that just kind of puts a little fear in it. But some people just kind of go at it, and it's what it is. But considering that they did have that recall, I just really don't want to mess with that part right now. I may change my mind in a few months or whatever it is, or if I can find a way to get away with it without it being an issue, which I don't know how that would be. But that pretty much kind of breaks that part down. But like I said, I did settle with just getting the 600 just to kind of hold me over until Yamaha decides what they're gonna do for a up and coming R1 if they do re-release an R1. But I now see the big thing about 600s when it comes to whether it be on the track or just maneuverability or control. It is a little lighter than what a 1000cc would be, obviously. But I can understand now what the big fuss is when it is a 600 that's on a track. I have been on a track before with my Yamaha one, and it is part of the control, especially a newcomer on the racetrack. But now I can understand, because you can max out a 600 and be comfortable riding it or whatever it is in the sense, in the street and or on the track. Compared to a 1000, 1000 is just way too much power. And that's coming from a person that's the last 3 or 4 bikes have been 1000cc bikes. I love the power. Of course, I'm just daily riding them. Daily commutes on the bike, so I love that power there or whatever it is. But this 600 is plenty enough power to up and go. So a lot of people think like, oh, to go from a 1000 to a 600 is like, oh man, kinda, yeah, but not really at the same time, because 1000 is way too much power. It's just like overkill. But granted, I will not steer away from a 1000cc bike. That will be my next purchase, whatever bike it is I get, whether it's the R1 or another brand of bike. I will get another 1000. This was just something to hold me over, and especially at 10.5, I couldn't pass this up. There's no way. Kawasaki's been around for a long time. The Ninja has been around for a long time, so I have trust in them that the bike is going to do me good. Again, it's got a quick shifter. I do like that. Quick shift is only up. It does not go down, down geared, quick shift wise. So you have to pay attention to that. It is quick shifter going up, and it is a setting that you can turn on and off, as well as traction control. And I believe there's wheelie control that you have on this. I'd have to go through the manual and just kind of check out those settings, but I do know the quick shifter settings, and it does have traction control settings. It's got a few different modes that you can put. Obviously, it has road and sport, and then they have a setting where you can kind of manually play around and adjust your settings. But it's got show forks that are adjustable. Again, I'm gonna get rid of those reflectors in the front. I do like where the turn signals are. Those are nice. I will be getting either race rails or a cage for this. Not generally speaking for stunt reasons or anything like that. Just for if the bike does go down, I don't end up tearing my fairings up or whatever it is. Yeah, I'll kind of leave you guys at that. I don't want to drag on too much. Like I said, I did want to introduce myself and just kind of let you guys know what this channel is generally going to be about. But it is going to be on building this bike. It may turn into actually vlogging while out riding, or there's bike meets, and going to the track possibly, if I do decide to. So over time, I will say, but there will be bike meets and shows and stuff that we will be going to, and obviously bike runs and meets and stuff like that. We do Vegas runs and stuff from here. I'm about 2 hours from here, so that's a nice ride without it being too crazy or too uncomfortable, so it's nice there. But come along with me on my journey while I build this thing or whatever it is. So again, like and subscribe. And if you could subscribe, apply pressure to that subscribe button, please. I would appreciate it, and it will help my channel along the way. That way you guys can come along with me and help me out as I help you out. And definitely for anybody interested in the ZX6R here. But again, it's a 2025. I probably should have waited to see what 2026 offered, but it just seems like they had different colorways, and that was about it. So no big deal, because I like this one here. But yeah, let me get to the few items that I do have here that I will be installing, and I will leave for the next video. So if you guys are interested, again, just please do subscribe. But a few parts here that I do have. Obviously, I have my Toce slip-on exhaust here that I just felt like was nice looking. It's hit or miss when it comes to people liking their exhaust or not. Everybody seems to have gotten the M4. The M4 exhaust for whatever reason. I don't know if it's just because it's cheaper or whatever it is. I personally haven't heard what it sounds like. I did hear what Toce sounds like, and I had a Toce on my 2014 R1, the Undertale, so that thing was a beauty, and it sounded just great, especially with the cross-plane engine. So I do have that for my slip-on. Then I have from Moto Dynamics, I have my rear tail here that I will be installing on here. It comes with all the relays and everything, and voltage stabilizers. It comes with everything's all plug and play. From this, I will be including all the links, of course, the relays stuff. I will be including all the links for this stuff down below. I have my tail tidy. It is a foldable tail tidy once I do install it. It also comes with the wiring for the lights and stuff that I can hook up on here. With that said as well, and then I have my tank pads, and these aren't thin tank pads. They are actually kind of thick. That's a double one, so it's one for each side. And then that's the one for the gas tank. But this is tech spec. And you can see here for current zx6r to the current time here. So, and then of course I got a metal plate over there, plate holder or whatever it is that I'll be putting in place there. So like I said, come along with me, subscribe to the channel. It'll help me out. It costs you nothing. And then you can see me either while I'm installing these things, or once I've installed them, you can see the updated video of these upgrades. And by that next video, again, you got to subscribe to get the notification. So click that on the way out. But you'll by the time we do this video where I do these installs, I'll probably be done ordered some more parts for it and have it. So again, stay tuned. Your boy C Moto. Until next time, I will let you guys back to it. Hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend, and I will see you on the next one, assuming that you do subscribe and get the notification. Till next time, peace out.